The night sky over New Horizon erupted in a blaze of searing light, transforming the peaceful colony into a hellscape of chaos and destruction. The first plasma barrage slammed into the eastern quadrant, vaporizing the atmospheric shields and igniting the air itself. Colonists, rudely awakened from their sleep, stumbled out of their dwellings in various states of undress, confusion etched on their faces as they gazed at the inferno consuming their homes. Captain Ethan Garner, head of colony security, was jolted awake by the thunderous impacts. He sprinted to the command center, his mind racing to process the unthinkable. They were under attack. As he burst through the doors, the scene before him was one of pandemonium. Junior officers scrambled between holographic displays, their faces ghostly in the flickering emergency lights. "Status report now!" Garner barked, his voice cutting through the cacophony. Lieutenant Olivia Tran, her usual composed demeanor shattered, turned to face him. "Sir, we're registering multiple impacts across the eastern sector. Shields are down, and we've lost contact with outposts 3 through 7. It's not good, sir." Garner's jaw clenched as he surveyed the tactical display. The colony's defenses, designed to ward off asteroid impacts and solar flares, were woefully inadequate against this onslaught. Any visual on the attackers? Before Tran could respond, the floor beneath them shuddered as another volley struck home. Klaxons wailed, their urgent cry mixing with the screams echoing from the streets outside. "Incoming transmission from Dr. Cassandra Hartley at the observatory," a communications officer called out. A hologram flickered to life, revealing the disheveled face of the colony's chief astronomer. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, her voice trembling. The image shifted, showing a massive object descending through the atmosphere. Its surface writhed with strange, organic-looking protrusions, defying any known ship design. "What in God's name is that?" Garner whispered, a chill running down his spine. The alien vessel, for it could be nothing else, disgorged smaller craft that streaked towards the colony. Their trajectory was unmistakable. They were coming in for a landing. "All personnel, battle stations," Garner commanded, snapping out of his momentary shock. "Tran, get our people to the emergency shelters. Cortez, I want every combat-capable colonist armed and at the perimeter yesterday." As the command center erupted into frenzied activity, Garner's mind raced. The colony's arsenal was limited, mostly mining equipment and a few old-model pulse rifles for wildlife control. They were drastically outgunned, but they had no choice. They had to fight. Outside, the streets had become a maelstrom of terror and confusion. Families huddled together, children wailing as their parents tried to shield them from the horrors unfolding around them. The colony's medical staff, led by Dr. Sophia Patel, worked feverishly to treat the wounded, setting up makeshift triage centers in the shadow of burning buildings. At the perimeter, a ragtag group of colonists assembled, clutching whatever weapons they could find. Isaac Roth, a burly miner with arms like tree trunks, hefted a plasma cutter normally used for carving through rock. Beside him, Layla Khoury, an environmental engineer, gripped a hastily modified atmospheric sampler, its sensors recalibrated to detect alien biosignatures. The first of the alien craft touched down, its hull splitting open like some nightmarish flower. From within emerged creatures that defied description, a writhing mass of tentacles and chitinous plates, moving with an unsettling fluidity that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "Hold the line," Garner shouted, his voice carrying over the din of battle. "For New Horizon." The colonists opened fire, a desperate volley of makeshift weapons and repurposed tools. The aliens retaliated with weapons that seemed to bend light itself, warping the very air around their targets. Men and women fell, their bodies twisted into impossible shapes by the alien technology. But the humans fought on, their desperation lending them strength. Isaac Roth charged forward, his plasma cutter carving through alien flesh with a sizzling hiss. Layla Khoury's modified sampler proved unexpectedly effective, its targeted electromagnetic pulses disrupting the aliens' strange biology. In the command center, Lieutenant Tran worked furiously to re-establish contact with Earth. Hey there, hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you do, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel to grow and reach more people. Now let's find out what comes next. "Captain, I've got a signal," she called out triumphantly. but her joy was short-lived as she listened to the response. "Sir, it's not just us. Reports are coming in from all over the sector. This is a full-scale invasion." Garner felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on his shoulders. They were on their own, at least for now. "Keep trying," he ordered, "and get me a line to the other colonies in the system. If we're going to survive this, we need to work together." As the battle raged on, Dr. Cassandra Hartley made a startling discovery. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the alien ship," she reported. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. The ship itself seems to be alive, generating its own gravitational field." This information sparked an idea in Garner's tactically oriented mind. "If the ship's alive, maybe we can hurt it," he mused. "Tran, get me everything we have on terraforming equipment. We might not have weapons, but we've got tools that can reshape planets. Let's see how these bastards like a taste of their own medicine." As the colonists fought a desperate holding action at the perimeter, a plan began to take shape. They would use the colony's atmospheric processors, massive machines designed to alter planetary climates, as improvised weapons. By recalibrating the devices to generate focused gravitational pulses, they might be able to disrupt the alien ship's internal systems. The plan was risky, bordering on suicidal. It would require a team to infiltrate the alien-held territory and reach the main processor complex. But it was their only chance. Garner assembled a strike team. Himself, Isaac Roth for muscle, Layla Khoury for her technical expertise, and Dr. Sophia Patel, whose medical knowledge might prove crucial in understanding the alien physiology. As they prepared to embark on their desperate mission, Garner addressed the colony one last time. "People of New Horizon," he began, his voice carrying over the emergency broadcast system. "We face an enemy, unlike any humanity has encountered before. But we are not helpless. We are the pioneers of the stars, the ones who dared to make a home in the harshest environments imaginable. We've faced solar storms, asteroid impacts, and atmospheric toxins. We've survived it all, and we'll survive this too." His words seemed to ignite a fire in the colonists. Those who could fight redoubled their efforts, while others worked tirelessly to support them, converting workshops into armories and hydroponic bays into field hospitals. As Garner and his team set out, the alien assault intensified. The sky above New Horizon became a canvas of destruction, crisscrossed with energy beams and plasma bolts. But amidst the chaos, hope began to flicker. The colonists, initially shocked and disorganized, were adapting with remarkable speed. Engineers jury-rigged mining lasers into defensive turrets. Botanists weaponized fast-growing vines to entangle alien troops. Even the colony's AI, initially overwhelmed by the attack, began to analyze the patterns in the alien assault, providing crucial tactical data. The strike team fought their way through the alien-held territory, each step a battle for survival. Isaac Roth's raw strength and Layla Khoury's technical ingenuity proved a formidable combination. Dr. Patel's insights into the alien biology allowed them to exploit weaknesses they wouldn't have otherwise noticed. As they neared the processor complex, they encountered a new challenge. The aliens had set up a defensive perimeter, guarded by towering insectoid creatures that seemed to phase in and out of reality. "We need a diversion," Garner whispered, assessing the situation. Layla's eyes lit up with an idea. "The atmospheric scrubbers," she said. "If we overload them, we can create a localized storm. It might disorient them long enough for us to slip through." The plan worked, but at a cost. As they made their final push towards the complex, an alien energy blast caught Isaac in the chest. He fell, his massive frame crumpling to the ground. "Go!" he roared through gritted teeth. "I'll hold them off." With heavy hearts, the team pressed on, Isaac's defiant battle cry echoing behind them as they entered the complex. Inside, they found a scene of industrial might warped by alien influence. The massive atmospheric processors, once the pride of human engineering, now pulsed with an otherworldly energy. Layla set to work immediately, her fingers flying over holographic interfaces as she recalibrated the machines. Garner and Patel stood guard, fending off waves of alien attackers, with desperate courage. "It's done!" Layla shouted triumphantly. "Activating now!" The complex hummed to life, the processors spinning up to full power. A wave of gravitational distortion rippled outward, invisible but palpable. Outside, the alien ship shuddered, its organic surface rippling like water. For a moment, hope soared. Then, with a sound like the universe itself tearing apart, a new rift opened in the sky above New Horizon. From it emerged a second alien vessel, even larger than the first. As the colonists watched in horror, the new arrival unleashed a barrage that dwarfed the initial assault. The western quadrant of the colony vanished in a blinding flash, taking with it thousands of lives. In the processor complex, Garner stared at the tactical display in disbelief. They had given everything they had, and it wasn't enough. As the alien reinforcements began to land, he made a decision that would change the course of the battle, and perhaps the fate of humanity itself. "Tran," he called over the comm, his voice heavy with resolve. "Initiate Protocol Omega." There was a moment of stunned silence on the other end. "Sir, that's a last resort measure. It'll destroy the entire colony." "I know," Garner replied. "But we can't let them take New Horizon. We can't let them learn from our technology, our databases. We have to deny them that advantage, no matter the cost." As Tran began the activation sequence for the colony's self-destruct systems, Garner turned to his team. "We have one last job to do," he said grimly. "We need to get as many people to the emergency shuttles as possible. We're evacuating New Horizon." The evacuation order echoed through the remnants of New Horizon, a desperate call amidst the chaos of destruction. Captain Garner and his team raced against time, their bodies aching from the grueling battle, but their spirits unbroken. As they emerged from the processor complex, they witnessed a scene of both horror and hope. The colony's remaining defenders had rallied, forming a protective cordon around the emergency shuttles. Dr. Cassandra Hartley, her lab coat singed and torn, directed a group of engineers who were hastily modifying the shuttle's engines for improved speed and maneuverability. "We've got maybe 20 minutes before those bastards regroup," Garner shouted over the din of battle and evacuation. "Make every second count." The evacuation itself became a brutal triage. There weren't enough shuttles for everyone. Families were torn apart as parents made heart-wrenching decisions to send their children to safety while staying behind to buy them time. The air was thick with smoke, screams, and the acrid smell of burning polymers. Amidst the chaos, unlikely leaders emerged. Layla Khoury, her face streaked with grime and determination, took charge of organizing the evacuation priorities. Her quick thinking and unflappable demeanor kept the process from descending into total anarchy. "Children and essential personnel first," she ordered, her voice carrying an authority that brooked no argument. "If you can fight, you stay. We need every able body to hold the line." As the first shuttles began to lift off, the aliens launched a renewed assault. Their biomechanical monstrosities scuttled across the ruined landscape, their weapons carving swathes of destruction through the defenders' ranks. It was in this moment of desperation that the true ingenuity of humanity shone through. Dr. Patel, working feverishly with a team of medics and engineers, had made a breakthrough. Using data gathered from their encounters with the aliens, she had developed a crude but effective countermeasure. "Their nervous systems are vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies," she explained rapidly to Garner. "We can use our communication arrays to broadcast a disruptive signal. It won't stop them, but it'll slow them down." Garner didn't hesitate. "Do it," he ordered, then turned to address the remaining colonists. "Everyone with combat experience, form up on me. The rest of you get those shuttles loaded and in the air." As Dr. Patel's team repurposed the colony's communication infrastructure into an improvised weapon, the defenders prepared for their last stand. They were a motley crew: miners, farmers, scientists, and administrators, now transformed into the final bulwark against an implacable foe. The electromagnetic pulse rippled out across the battlefield. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien forces stumbled, their coordinated assault faltering as their biomechanical systems were disrupted. For a brief, glorious moment, the tide of battle shifted. Seizing the opportunity, the human defenders launched a counterattack. Isaac Roth, miraculously still alive despite his grievous wounds, led the charge. His plasma cutter, now modified to emit the disruptive frequency, carved through the alien ranks with terrifying efficiency. "Come on, you ugly bastards," he roared, his voice a battle cry that inspired those around him. "This is our home, and you're not welcome." For the first time since the invasion began, the colonists tasted victory. They pushed the aliens back, reclaiming ground that had seemed hopelessly lost. Each meter gained was paid for in blood and sacrifice, but they refused to yield. As the battle raged, tensions began to simmer beneath the surface of the human resistance. Different factions emerged, each with their own ideas on how to ensure survival. Dr. Hartley and a group of scientists argued for preserving as much of their research and technology as possible. "Our knowledge is humanity's best hope for understanding and defeating these creatures," she insisted. In contrast, a faction led by Security Officer Cortez advocated for a more aggressive stance. "We need to take the fight to them," he argued. "Use the shuttles as makeshift bombers, hit their ship before it can launch another attack." Garner found himself caught in the middle, trying to balance the competing priorities of evacuation, defense, and gathering crucial intelligence. Every decision carried the weight of lives, and the pressure was immense. As the evacuation continued, a new threat emerged. The aliens, adapting to the electromagnetic disruption, began to target the shuttles themselves. Their energy weapons lanced out, picking off the fleeing craft one by one. In a moment of desperate inspiration, Layla Khoury proposed a radical solution. "The terraforming shields," she said, her eyes alight with possibility. "We can reconfigure them to create a corridor of protection for the shuttles." The plan was audacious and risky. It would require diverting power from the colony's remaining defenses, leaving the ground forces even more vulnerable. But it was their best chance to ensure that at least some of their people escaped to warn Earth. As Layla and her team worked to implement the plan, the ground battle intensified. The aliens, seemingly enraged by the humans' continued resistance, pressed their attack with renewed vigor. The defensive line began to buckle under the onslaught. It was in this darkest moment that humanity's spirit truly shone. Colonists who had never held a weapon in their lives stood shoulder to shoulder with seasoned security personnel. They fought with whatever they had: repurposed tools, improvised explosives, even their bare hands. Dr. Patel, her medical supplies exhausted, picked up a fallen soldier's rifle and joined the fray. "I took an oath to preserve life," she said grimly, "and sometimes that means taking lives to save others." The battle became a brutal war of attrition. For every alien the defenders managed to fell, 2 more seemed to take its place. But still, they held the line, buying precious time for the evacuation to continue. Garner, coordinating the defense from a makeshift command post, received word that Layla's plan was ready. With a heavy heart, he gave the order to divert power to the terraforming shields. The effect was immediate and dramatic. A shimmering corridor of energy sprang into existence, creating a protected path for the shuttles to follow. But as the remaining power drained from the colony's defenses, the aliens surged forward. "Fall back to the inner perimeter," Garner ordered, his voice hoarse from shouting commands. "We hold them here, no matter the cost." The defenders retreated in good order, their discipline a testament to the leadership that had emerged in this crisis. They formed a final defensive ring around the last of the evacuation shuttles, determined to ensure that these final vessels escaped. As the battle reached its crescendo, a series of explosions rocked the alien ship. Cortez and his team had managed to jury-rig several mining charges into makeshift bombs, striking a blow against their tormentors. The alien assault faltered, if only for a moment. It was all the time the defenders needed. The last of the shuttles lifted off, carrying with them the hopes and dreams of New Horizon. Garner watched them go, a mixture of pride and sorrow etched on his face. He turned to the remaining defenders, their numbers now reduced to a mere handful. "It's time," he said simply. They understood. Protocol Omega was still in effect. They couldn't allow the aliens to claim New Horizon, to learn from human technology, and potentially gain an advantage in the wider war that was sure to come. As the alien forces regrouped for a final push, Garner and his team made their way to the colony's reactor core. They worked quickly, overriding safety protocols and initiating a catastrophic overload. The ground began to shake as the reactor's containment field started to fail. The aliens, sensing the danger, began to retreat, their forces scrambling back towards their ship. In the reactor room, Garner looked at the faces of those who had chosen to stay behind with him. Isaac Roth, his massive frame leaning heavily against a console. Dr. Patel, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resolve. Layla Khoury, her fingers flying over the reactor controls as she ensured there would be no way to stop the overload. "It's been an honor," Garner said simply. As the reactor reached critical mass, the defenders of New Horizons stood tall, their faces illuminated by the growing light of their impending doom. They had fought against impossible odds, had shown the true mettle of humanity in the face of an overwhelming alien threat. The explosion, when it came, was visible from orbit. New Horizon vanished in a blinding flash, taking with it the alien ship and ground forces. The fleeing shuttles, protected by the last vestiges of the terraforming shields, raced towards the stars, carrying with them the survivors of humanity's first interstellar battle. As the light of the explosion faded, the true impact of what had transpired began to sink in. The survivors, crammed into the shuttles, mourned their lost home and fallen comrades. But amidst the grief, a steely resolve began to form. They had faced the unknown and survived. They had shown that humanity, even when outgunned and outnumbered, was a force to be reckoned with. And they carried with them knowledge of the alien threat, of their weaknesses, and of humanity's own strength. As the shuttles plotted a course for Earth, the survivors of New Horizon knew that this was not the end, but the beginning. The first battle in what would surely be a long and grueling war had been fought. And though the cost had been high, humanity had proven itself ready for the challenge. The stars stretched out before them, a canvas of infinite possibilities and unknown dangers. But wherever their journey took them next, the spirit of New Horizon, of resilience, ingenuity, and unyielding courage, would light their way. The remnants of New Horizons' population, crammed into the handful of escape shuttles, hurtled through the void of space. The initial shock of their narrow escape gradually gave way to a grim determination. These weren't just refugees. They were the vanguard of humanity's resistance against an alien threat that had shattered their lives and threatened their very existence. Lieutenant Olivia Tran, her uniform still stained with the grime of battle, took charge of the ragtag fleet. Her first priority was to establish a secure communication network between the shuttles, using frequency-hopping algorithms to avoid detection by any pursuing alien forces. "We can't go back to Earth," she announced over the newly established comms. "Not yet. We'd be leading the enemy straight to our homeworld." Dr. Cassandra Hartley, her eyes red-rimmed from exhaustion and grief, spoke up. "I agree. We need to regroup, gather intelligence, and find a way to strike back." The decision was made to set course for Proxima Station, a remote outpost on the edge of human-controlled space. It wasn't much, little more than a refueling depot and research facility, but it would provide a temporary haven and a base of operations. As the shuttles limped towards their destination, the survivors began to analyze the data they'd managed to salvage from New Horizon. Dr. Patel, working with a team of engineers and xenobiologists, pored over sensor readings and biological samples collected during the battle. "These aliens," she mused, her brow furrowed in concentration. "They're not just technologically advanced, they're integrated with their technology in a way we've never seen before." The discovery sent ripples of unease through the survivors. They weren't just facing an alien invasion. They were up against beings that blurred the line between organic and synthetic life. As Proxima Station grew larger in their view screens, Tran began to formulate a plan. "We can't match them in open combat," she said, addressing the assembled leaders. "But we don't have to. We'll hit them where they least expect it, using everything we've learned about their weaknesses." The plan was audacious, bordering on insane. Using Proxima Station as a base, they would launch a series of hit-and-run attacks on alien outposts and supply lines. Each raid would serve a dual purpose, gathering crucial intelligence while disrupting the enemy's operations. Layla Khoury, her engineering skills proving invaluable, set to work modifying the station's outdated defense systems. "If we can replicate the electromagnetic pulse that worked on New Horizon," she explained, her fingers flying over holographic interfaces, We can use it as both a weapon and a shield. The first raid was a nerve-wracking affair. A small team, led by the indomitable Isaac Roth, used a captured alien shuttle to approach an enemy outpost on a nearby asteroid. As they neared their target, Layla activated the EMP device. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien defenses flickered and died, leaving the outpost vulnerable. Roth's team struck hard and fast, retrieving valuable data cores and samples of alien technology before disappearing back into the depths of space. As the raids continued, a pattern began to emerge. The aliens, for all their technological superiority, seemed to struggle with adapting to the humans' unpredictable guerrilla tactics. Each successful mission boosted morale and provided crucial pieces of the puzzle. Dr. E hotly made a breakthrough while analyzing the captured alien data cores. "They're not just invaders," she announced, her voice trembling with the weight of her discovery. "They're colonizers. They transform planets to suit their hybrid biology, turning entire worlds into extensions of their hive-like civilization." The revelation sent shockwaves through the human resistance. Earth wasn't just facing an invasion, it was in danger of being terraformed into an alien world, incompatible with human life. As the gravity of the situation sank in, tensions within the human camp began to rise. Some, led by Security Officer Cortez, advocated for an all-out offensive. "We need to take the fight to their home world," he argued passionately. "It's the only way to ensure humanity's survival." Others, including Dr. Patel, urged caution. "We're still outgunned and outnumbered," she countered. "We need to focus on defense, on finding a way to protect Earth and our colonies." The debate raged on, threatening to fracture the fragile unity of the resistance. It was Tran who finally broke the deadlock. "We don't have to choose," she said, her voice cutting through the argument. "We can do both. We'll continue our raids, gathering intelligence and disrupting their operations. But we'll also send a team back to Earth to warn them and help prepare our defenses." The plan was risky, but it offered a balance between offense and defense that most could agree on. As preparations began for the most daring mission yet, a strike at the heart of the alien fleet. A small team was assembled for the perilous journey back to Earth. Layla Khoury volunteered to lead the Earthbound mission. "I can help upgrade our planetary defenses," she said, her eyes gleaming with determination. "Maybe even find a way to make our whole solar system resistant to their terraforming technology." As Layla's team prepared for their departure, the main resistance force geared up for their most ambitious raid yet. Intelligence gathered from previous missions had revealed the location of a massive alien command ship, coordinating their operations across the sector. The plan was audacious in its complexity. Using modified stealth technology reverse-engineered from captured alien craft, a strike team would infiltrate the command ship. Meanwhile, a larger force would launch a diversionary attack, drawing away the bulk of the alien defenses. The night before the mission, Tran addressed the assembled raiders. "What we do here," she said, her voice carrying across the crowded hangar bay, "will determine the fate of not just our species, but our entire way of life. We are the last, best hope for humanity, and we will not fail." As the resistance fleet moved into position, tension hung heavy in the recycled air of their ships. This was the moment that would define their struggle. Success could turn the tide of the war, while failure might doom humanity to extinction. The battle began with a series of synchronized EMP bursts, momentarily disabling the outer defenses of the alien fleet. In that crucial window, Roth's infiltration team slipped through, their modified shuttle indistinguishable from the alien craft around them. On the bridge of the Resistance flagship, Tran watched as the diversionary force engaged the enemy. The void of space lit up with energy weapons and explosions, a deadly dance of destruction that belied the true objective of the mission. Inside the alien command ship, Roth's team moved swiftly through biomechanical corridors that pulsed with an unsettling life of their own. Dr. Patel, part of the infiltration team, worked feverishly to interpret the alien systems they encountered. "It's like the ship is alive," she whispered, her voice filled with a mixture of awe and revulsion. "Every part of it is connected, sharing information and adapting in real time." As they neared the central control node, disaster struck. An alien security protocol, unlike anything they had encountered before, detected the intruders. Klaxons blared, and the very walls of the ship seemed to come alive, reaching out with tendrils of living metal to ensnare the human raiders. Roth, his face a mask of grim determination, turned to his team. "Get to the control node," he ordered. "I'll hold them off." What followed was a desperate race against time. As Roth fought a rearguard action, buying precious seconds with his life, the rest of the team pushed forward. Dr. Patel's expertise proved invaluable as she worked to interface their human technology with the alien systems. Outside, the battle raged with increasing ferocity. The Resistance fleet, though fighting with incredible valor, was slowly being overwhelmed by the superior numbers and technology of the alien armada. Just as all seemed lost, a miracle occurred. Dr. Patel, her hands flying over alien control surfaces with intuitive understanding, managed to breach the final defenses of the command node. "I'm in!" she shouted, her voice hoarse with exhaustion and excitement. In that moment, the true power of human ingenuity and adaptability revealed itself. Dr. Patel didn't just access the alien systems, she rewrote them. Using a combination of human coding techniques and the knowledge they'd gained about alien biology, she created a virus that spread through the command ship's living circuitry like wildfire. The effect was immediate and devastating. The alien ship, its systems turned against itself, began to convulse. Energy weapons fired randomly, shields flickered and failed, and the once coordinated alien fleet fell into disarray. Tran, watching from the Resistance flagship, couldn't believe her eyes. "All ships, press the attack!" she ordered, seizing the moment of opportunity. The human fleet surged forward, their weapons finding vulnerable targets amidst the chaos. Alien ships, their command and control networks shattered, fell one by one to the human onslaught. As the battle turned decisively in humanity's favor, a new signal appeared on the long-range sensors. Reinforcements had arrived, not alien, but human. Earth, warned by Layla's team, had mobilized its forces and come to join the fight. The alien invasion, which had seemed unstoppable mere hours before, crumbled in the face of humanity's combined might. As the last enemy ships fled or were destroyed, a cheer went up across the human fleet, a cry of triumph, of survival against impossible odds. In the aftermath of the battle, as the adrenaline faded and the true cost of their victory became clear, Tran gathered the survivors. "We've won a great victory here today," she said, her voice carrying the weight of command and the pain of loss. "But this is just the beginning. We've shown that humanity will not go quietly into the night. We will fight, we will survive, and we will prevail." As the combined human fleet set course for Earth, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but humanity had proven itself equal to the challenge. In the face of an implacable alien foe, they had demonstrated the true strength of the human spirit, adaptable, resilient, and unconquerable. The war for Earth's survival had only just begun, but for the first time since the fall of New Horizon, hope burned bright in the hearts of every human soul. The combined human fleet, bolstered by Earth's reinforcements, pressed their advantage against the reeling alien armada. Lieutenant Tran, her face illuminated by the flickering tactical displays, orchestrated the assault with a precision that belied the chaos of battle. Streams of plasma fire crisscrossed the void, punctuated by the silent explosions of dying ships. "Target their flagship," Tran ordered, her voice steady despite the stakes. "All available firepower, concentrate on their command and control systems." The human vessels moved in perfect synchronization, their weapons converging on a massive alien construct that pulsed with biomechanical energy. As the barrage intensified, the alien flagship's defenses began to falter, its living hull writhing in apparent agony. Aboard the infiltrated alien command ship, Dr. Patel worked feverishly to expand the reach of her virus. Her fingers danced across alien interfaces, sweat beading on her brow as she pushed the limits of her understanding. "I think I can do more than just disrupt their systems," she muttered, eyes fixed on the swirling alien code. "If I can access their central network, we might be able to shut down their entire fleet." Isaac Roth, bloodied but unbowed, stood guard at the entrance to the control node. The sounds of alien reinforcements echoed through the pulsating corridors. "Whatever you're going to do, Doc, do it fast," he growled, hefting his makeshift weapon. "We're about to have company." As if in response to his words, a section of the wall suddenly liquefied, and a towering alien figure emerged. It was unlike anything they had encountered before, a being of impossible angles and shimmering translucent flesh. In an instant, Roth understood that they were face to face with one of the alien leaders. The creature's thoughts crashed into their minds like a tsunami, a cacophony of alien concepts and emotions that threatened to overwhelm their sanity. But amidst the psychic assault, a single word emerged with crystal clarity. "Stop." For a moment, the battle seemed to freeze. On every ship, human and alien alike, screens flickered with the image of the confrontation aboard the command ship. The alien leader, its form constantly shifting and refracting, regarded the humans with what could only be described as curiosity. "You resist." The aliens' thoughts reverberated in their minds. Unexpected. Fascinating. Dr. Patel, her hand still poised over the alien controls, found her voice. "Why are you doing this?" she demanded. "Why attack us?" The alien's response came not in words, but in a series of vivid mental images. The humans saw a dying world, its resources depleted, its population desperate for survival. They saw vast fleets of world ships roaming the galaxy in search of suitable planets to transform and inhabit. "You do not understand," the alien conveyed. "This is not conquest. It is survival. Your worlds are compatible. They must be remade." The implications of this revelation sent shockwaves through the human forces. They weren't facing mindless invaders, but a species driven to desperate measures by their own looming extinction. Tran's voice crackled over the comms, breaking the stunned silence. "That doesn't justify the slaughter of our people," she said firmly. "We have a right to exist, to defend our homes." The alien leader's form rippled, its thoughts projecting a mix of confusion and frustration. "Your resistance was unanticipated. We assumed lesser beings would simply submit to the inevitable." Roth barked out a laugh, harsh and humorless. "Well, you assumed wrong, pal. Humanity doesn't roll over for anyone, not even fancy space squids like you." As the tense standoff continued, Dr. Patel made a fateful decision. Instead of unleashing her virus to cripple the alien fleet, she used her access to the alien systems to project a comprehensive data package. It contained information about Earth, about human history, culture, and achievements. "Look," she said, her voice trembling with the weight of the moment. "This is who we are. This is what you're trying to destroy. We're not just resources to be consumed or obstacles to be removed. We're a species with hopes, dreams, and a future of our own." The alien leader's form pulsed and shifted as it processed the flood of information. For agonizing minutes, silence reigned across the battlefield. Then, slowly, the psychic pressure began to recede. "Your species is more than we realized," the alien conveyed, its mental voice tinged with what might have been respect. Perhaps there is another way." With those words, a new chapter in human history began. The alien leader issued a command, and across the sector, their forces began to stand down. On the bridge of the human flagship, Tran watched in disbelief as the alien vessels powered down their weapons. "All ships, hold fire," she ordered, her voice tight with tension. "But maintain battle readiness. This could still be a trick." Over the next hours, a tenuous dialogue emerged. The aliens, calling themselves the Hfy, revealed the full extent of their plight. Their civilization, spanning thousands of worlds, faced a crisis of cosmic proportions. The unique energy field that sustained their hybrid biology was failing across their empire, forcing them to seek out new, compatible worlds to transform. Earth and its colonies, rich in the precise elemental composition the Hfy needed, had seemed like the perfect solution. They had never encountered a species capable of resisting their technological might, and so had never considered diplomacy as an option. As the negotiations progressed, moved from the alien command ship to a neutral location on a nearby uninhabited moon, the true complexity of the situation became clear. The humans, led by Tran, and advised by Dr. Patel, found themselves walking a diplomatic tightrope. On one side, there was the very real threat the NXCR posed. Their technology and resources vastly outmatched humanity's, and if negotiations failed, the war could resume with devastating consequences. On the other hand, the opportunity for peaceful coexistence and the potential sharing of advanced alien technology was too significant to ignore. "We sympathize with your plight," Tran said during one tense session, her words carefully measured. "But we cannot allow the destruction of our worlds. There must be another solution." The NXCR representatives, their forms constantly shifting in mesmerizing patterns, conveyed a mix of desperation and cautious hope. "Our scientists believe it may be possible to synthesize the energy field we require," they explained. "But the process would take years, perhaps decades. We do not have that much time." Dr. Patel, who had been poring over the alien data they had captured, suddenly straightened. "What if," she began, her eyes alight with inspiration, "we could help you accelerate that research? Combine our scientific knowledge with yours?" The idea sent ripples of excitement and trepidation through both delegations. The potential benefits were enormous, but so were the risks. Sharing advanced technology could backfire catastrophically if trust was broken on either side. As the negotiations stretched on, news of the alien threat and the potential for peace spread across human space. On Earth and the colonies, opinions were sharply divided. Some called for immediate military action, fearing that any delay would only give the aliens time to regroup. Others saw the opportunity for a diplomatic solution as a watershed moment in human history. Layla Khoury, monitoring the situation from Earth's newly reinforced defense grid, found herself caught in the middle of the debate. Her experiences on New Horizon had shown her the devastating power of the NXCR, but also the potential for human ingenuity to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. "We can't ignore the threat they pose," she argued in a high-level briefing with Earth's leaders. "But think of what we could learn from them. Their biomechanical technology, their faster-than-light travel capabilities. It could advance our civilization by centuries." Back at the negotiation site, a breakthrough finally came. The NXCR, impressed by humanity's resilience and intrigued by the potential of collaboration, made an unprecedented offer. They would share a significant portion of their scientific knowledge, focusing on sustainable energy production and medical technology. In exchange, they sought permission to establish research outposts on uninhabited planets within human-controlled space. These outposts would be jointly operated, allowing both species to work together on solving the NXCR's energy crisis while ensuring that human interests were protected. It was a proposal that offered hope for both civilizations, but also required a leap of faith that many found difficult to accept. As the human delegation debated the offer, tensions rose. Security Officer Cortez, still advocating for a more aggressive stance, argued passionately against accepting. "How can we trust them?" he demanded. "After everything they've done, all the lives they've taken." Tran, feeling the weight of command more heavily than ever, looked out at the assembled representatives of humanity. She saw the fear in their eyes, but also the hope. The potential for a future none of them had imagined possible mere days ago. "We can't change the past," she said slowly, her words carrying the gravity of the moment. "The lives lost at New Horizon and in this war will always be with us. But we have a chance here to prevent further bloodshed, to forge a path that could lead to unparalleled advancement for both our species." She paused, looking each member of the delegation in the eye. "It won't be easy. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments where our resolve will be tested. But I believe this is a risk worth taking. We came to the stars to explore, to learn, to grow. This is our chance to do all of that and more." The room fell silent as the weight of the decision settled upon them. It was Dr. Patel who finally broke the silence, her voice soft but filled with conviction. "At New Horizon, we faced extinction. We survived because we adapted, because we refused to give up. Now we have a chance not just to survive, but to thrive, to be part of something greater than ourselves." One by one, the members of the delegation nodded their agreement. Even Cortez, though his expression remained skeptical, gave a grudging nod of assent. With the decision made, Tran turned back to the NXCR representatives. Their alien forms seemed to pulse with anticipation as she approached. "On behalf of humanity," Tran said, her voice steady and clear, "we accept your proposal. Let this be the beginning of a new era of cooperation and mutual understanding between our species." As the words left her lips, Tran felt the magnitude of the moment. This wasn't just a diplomatic agreement, it was a turning point in human history. They had faced an alien threat that had nearly wiped them out, and instead of succumbing to fear and hatred, they had found a path to peace. The NXCR's response came not in words, but in a wave of emotion that washed over the human delegation. Relief, gratitude, and a cautious optimism flowed between the two species, a wordless promise of the potential that lay ahead. As news of the agreement spread across human space, reactions were mixed. There were celebrations in some quarters, protests in others. The road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges. Trust would need to be built, wounds would need to heal, and two vastly different civilizations would need to learn to work together. But as Tran looked out at the stars, she felt a sense of hope she hadn't experienced since before the attack on New Horizon. Humanity had proven itself equal to the greatest challenge it had ever faced. They had shown courage, ingenuity, and an indomitable spirit that had earned the respect of a vastly superior alien civilization. The war was over, but a new adventure was just beginning. As the human and NXCR ships prepared to depart for Earth, where the details of their cooperation would be hammered out, Tran allowed herself a small smile. Whatever the future held, she knew that humanity would face it head-on, with the same resilience and determination that had brought them to this moment. The stars stretched out before them, no longer a realm of terror and conflict, but a vast frontier of possibility. Humanity had not just survived its trial by fire, it had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take its place among the cosmos. As the combined fleet of human and NXCR vessels approached Earth, a palpable tension filled the air. The blue marble of humanity's homeworld loomed large in view screens across both fleets, a silent witness to the unprecedented events unfolding. Lieutenant Tran stood on the bridge of the flagship, her posture rigid, eyes fixed on the planet below. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her shoulders like a physical force. They had won the war, but now came the even greater challenge of winning the peace. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command," a communications officer announced, breaking the tense silence. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Admiral Yoshida, the highest-ranking officer in Earth's defense force. His expression was a mixture of relief and apprehension as he regarded Tran and the NXCR representative standing beside her. "Lieutenant Tran," Yoshida began, his voice carefully neutral, "I understand you've negotiated a ceasefire with the alien forces." Tran squared her shoulders. "More than a ceasefire, Admiral. We've brokered a peace agreement that could change the course of human history." As Tran outlined the terms of the agreement, Yoshida's expression cycled through disbelief, concern, and finally, a grudging respect. When she finished, he was silent for a long moment. "You've taken an enormous risk, Lieutenant," he said at last. "But given the circumstances, perhaps the only one available to us. The Security Council is assembling as we speak. Prepare your team and the alien representatives for immediate transport to Geneva." The next 48 hours were a whirlwind of activity. As news of the alien armada's arrival spread across the globe, reactions ranged from panic to cautious optimism. Military forces remained on high alert, even as diplomatic channels buzzed with frantic activity. In Geneva, the United Earth government convened an emergency session. The Grand Assembly Hall, typically a place of measured debate, now crackled with an electric tension as human leaders faced their alien counterparts for the first time. Tran, flanked by Dr. Patel and Isaac Roth, stood at the podium. Her voice, steady and clear, carried across the hushed chamber as she recounted the events that had led to this moment. As she spoke of the battles fought, the lives lost, and the unlikely path to peace, she could see the impact of her words on the assembled delegates. When she finished, there was a moment of profound silence. Then, slowly, a murmur began to build. Questions flew thick and fast. each more pointed than the last. How could they trust these aliens? What guarantees did humanity have? What would prevent the Nexcar from simply conquering Earth once they had access to our resources? It was Dr. Patel who stepped forward to address these concerns. With calm precision, she outlined the scientific principles behind the Nexcar's need for specific planetary conditions. She explained how the proposed joint research initiatives could benefit both species, potentially solving the Nexcar's energy crisis while advancing human technology by decades, if not centuries. "We stand at a crossroads," Patel concluded, her eyes sweeping the chamber. "We can choose fear and continue a war that will cost millions of lives on both sides. Or we can choose hope and forge a future brighter than anything we've dared to imagine." The debate raged for hours, but in the end, the weight of potential outweighed the pull of fear. With a mixture of trepidation and hope, the United Earth government voted to ratify the peace agreement. The formal signing ceremony was a spectacle unlike anything in human history. As billions watched via global broadcast, human and Nexcar leaders affixed their signatures, or in the case of the Nexcar, impressed their bioelectric seals, to the document that would shape the future of both species. Outside the United Nations building, the reactions were as diverse as humanity itself. In New York, cheering crowds filled Times Square, their jubilant faces illuminated by massive screens showing the historic moment. In Moscow's Red Square, a somber vigil honored those lost in the conflict, candles flickering in the cold night air. In New Delhi, heated debates erupted in street-side chai stalls, with passionate arguments for and against the new alliance. But it was in the fledgling colonies, those outposts of humanity that had borne the brunt of the initial Nexcar assault, where reactions were the most intense. On Mars Base 1, colonists who had lived in fear of alien attack for months now found themselves preparing to welcome Nexcar scientists. The atmosphere was a volatile mix of excitement and apprehension. Layla Khoury, newly appointed as the human liaison for the Joint Research Initiative, stood before a crowd of Mars colonists. The domed chamber, typically used for hydroponic farming, now served as an impromptu town hall. "I know many of you are scared," Layla began, her voice echoing slightly in the cavernous space. "I was there on New Horizon. I saw firsthand the devastation the Nexcar can cause." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. "But I've also seen their technology, their potential. Working together, we can achieve things we've only dreamed of." As she spoke, holographic displays flickered to life around the chamber, showing concepts for new technologies. Atmospheric processes that could terraform Mars in years instead of centuries. Medical nanites that could cure diseases at the cellular level. Faster-than-light drives that could open up the galaxy for exploration. The crowd's mood began to shift, fear giving way to cautious excitement. But not everyone was convinced. A grizzled colonist, his face bearing the scars of the initial Nexcar attack, stood up. "How do we know this isn't just another trick?" he demanded, his voice thick with emotion. "How many more need to die before we realize they can't be trusted?" Layla met his gaze steadily. "We don't know for certain," she admitted. "Trust has to be earned on both sides. But I believe this is a risk worth taking. For our future, for our children's future." As the debates raged on Earth and its colonies, the first tentative steps towards cooperation were being taken. On a specially constructed space station orbiting Earth, human and Nexcar scientists began the delicate process of sharing knowledge. Dr. Patel found herself at the forefront of this initiative, her expertise in xenobiology making her uniquely suited to bridge the gap between the two species. The first few weeks were fraught with challenges. Cultural misunderstandings led to heated arguments. The vast differences in scientific approach caused frustration on both sides. But slowly, incrementally, progress began to emerge. A human physicist, working late one night with her Nexcar counterpart, had a breakthrough in understanding the principles behind the aliens' faster-than-light travel. A Nexcar bioengineer, fascinated by the human immune system, developed a new approach to fighting a virulent disease that had plagued their species for generations. These small victories, shared across the scientific community, began to kindle a sense of genuine optimism, the potential of what could be achieved through cooperation, started to outweigh the lingering fears and resentments. However, not everyone was willing to embrace this new future. On both sides, there were those who saw the alliance as a betrayal. A fringe group of human extremists, calling themselves the Earth First Coalition, began to gain traction with their xenophobic rhetoric. Similarly, among the Hfy, a faction emerged that believed cooperation with lesser beings was an affront to their species' superiority. These dissenting voices, though in the minority, posed a constant threat to the fragile peace. Security Officer Cortez, still harboring deep suspicions about the Hfy, found himself in the uncomfortable position of working to protect the very aliens he had once fought against. As head of security for the Joint Research Station, he had to constantly balance his personal feelings with his professional duty. One day, as Cortez was conducting a routine security sweep, he overheard a conversation between two Hfy scientists that made his blood run cold. They were discussing a failsafe in their shared technology, a hidden subroutine that could be activated to give the Hfy control over any systems developed jointly with humans. For a moment, all of Cortez's worst fears seemed confirmed. His hand instinctively moved to his weapon as he considered how to respond. But then he paused, remembering Tran's words about the importance of trust and diplomacy. Instead of confronting the Hfy directly, Cortez took his concerns to Dr. Patel. Together, they launched a discreet investigation involving both human and Hfy authorities. What they uncovered was not a grand conspiracy, but a misunderstanding born of linguistic and cultural differences. The failsafe was actually a security measure designed to prevent the technology from being misused by either species. When this was explained openly, it led to a renewed commitment to transparency on both sides. The incident, which could have derailed the entire alliance, instead became a catalyst for deeper understanding and cooperation. As the months passed, the fruits of the human Hfy alliance began to manifest in tangible ways. The first joint colony was established on a previously uninhabitable world, showcasing the combined power of human adaptability and Hfy terraforming technology. Advances in medical science led to cures for diseases long thought incurable. The global economy experienced a boom as new industries sprung up around alien-human hybrid technologies. And perhaps most significantly, a new generation began to grow up seeing the Hfy not as invaders, but as partners in humanity's cosmic journey. But challenges remained. Cultural integration proved to be an ongoing struggle, with misunderstandings and conflicts arising as humans, and Hfy attempted to live and work side by side. The differences in biology, psychology, and social structures created hurdles that required constant effort to overcome. Lieutenant Tran, now promoted to admiral and serving as the military liaison for the Alliance, found herself mediating an increasing number of disputes. Yet for every conflict, there seemed to be a moment of connection, of genuine understanding reached between the two species. 5 years after the signing of the peace accords, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. The first joint deep space exploration mission was preparing to launch, crewed by both humans and Hfy. Its mission: to seek out new civilizations, to expand the sphere of cooperation beyond their two species. As the massive ship, a marvel of combined human and Hfy engineering, prepared for departure, Admiral Tran stood at the podium to address the assembled crowd and the billions watching across human and Hfy space. 5 years ago, we stood on the brink of extinction, she began, her voice carrying the weight of all they had endured and achieved. We faced an enemy we thought we could never understand, let alone coexist with. But we did more than survive. We forged a bond that has transformed both our societies. She gestured to the ship looming behind her, its sleek lines a testament to what could be achieved through cooperation. This vessel represents not just our technological achievement, but our shared spirit of exploration and discovery. As we venture into the unknown, we carry with us the lesson that has brought us this far, that our greatest strength lies not in our differences, but in our willingness to bridge them. As Tran's words echoed across space, humans and Hfy alike felt a sense of shared purpose, of being part of something greater than themselves. The journey ahead would not be easy. There would be setbacks, conflicts, and challenges yet unimagined. But they would face them together, two species united by a common vision of the future. The ship's engines flared to life, a brilliant blue glow that symbolized the dawn of a new age. As it rose majestically into the sky, it carried with it the hopes and dreams of two civilizations. Humanity had not just survived its trial by fire, it had emerged transformed, ready to take its place among the stars not as conquerors, but as explorers and peacemakers. As the ship disappeared into the depths of space, those watching from Earth and Nexcar worlds alike shared a moment of collective awe. The universe, vast and mysterious, awaited, and humanity, standing shoulder to shoulder with their once enemies, now allies, was ready to meet it. The story of the human-Nexcar alliance would be told for generations to come, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity and the transformative power of understanding and cooperation. It was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope and unity could light the way forward. As the stars beckoned, humanity stepped into its future, forever changed but undiminished, carrying with it the hard-won wisdom that the greatest victories are not those achieved through force, but through the courage to reach out across the void and forge connections with those once thought unknowable. Hey there again. I'm glad you've come so far. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button. This is really important to the channel. Really important. And I have one more thing for you. I've chosen another video for you to watch. Just click the card here, or here if you want the whole playlist. See you there.